What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackInTheMovieGuy.com, if you're a blind film critic. And today, I'm also a TV critic. And I hope Murderbot's not around because I'm going to be talking about him. And this dude can eavesdrop with the best of them. So this is my review of Murderbot, the first 3 episodes. I don't actually think I was offered a screener for this. Sometimes I'm offered screeners for Apple things, but they don't come with audio descriptions, so it's just kind of like pointless. I would have liked this. The thing is, like, you never know. I don't really care. I've never reviewed anything and been like, what does Rotten Tomatoes say? What do Metacritic? What's the point of it? Like, that's not an honest response from me. That's just me making sure that I align with everybody. I might accidentally come on here and be like, my favorite thing of the year is this thing that, oh my God, has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm the critic who's like defending the film that no one likes. Luckily, I think Murderbot's not going to be that. It just can't be. These people have to be liking this. It's sort of like a sci-fi comedy. And if the title Murderbot, like, has turned you off at all, don't. It's not. He's not. This is not like a. Um, this isn't really that kind of a thing. It's. It's definitely. It wades way more into comedy than anything else. So Alexander Skarsgard plays this. I don't know what they call these models, but they're basically like androids. And he has a face, but he also has this like shield, like a helmet that he can put up around so that people don't see that he has a face. Um, they're not referred to as being human, and this is set in the future where we have lots of tech, including like self-repairing technology. So if he or another human gets injured, they go into sort of these like repairing bays where they can get repaired. But he's very careful not to repair one part of himself because he managed to hack his chip, and the chip that would sort of prevent him from being able to be autonomous and make his own choices. So that chip is gone. So he can actually, if he wanted to, he could murder everybody. And he doesn't have a name. That's part of the thing. He's one of these things where it's like, his name is like K95712 because it's like the make and model number. So he doesn't have a name. So he's trying to come up with a name for himself, and he thinks of some, and then he just lands on Murderbot. So that's kind of the joke of the series, is the thing, and the way that he interacts with the world. He's kind of goofy because he's kind of learning more about the world around him. He watches a lot of like streaming. He can stream TV shows to his brain, which is hilarious. So he watches a lot, and then he uses that as like a learning tool. So he like references this one show that he watches a lot, sort of like if a if a Trekkie was walking around constantly referencing like, Star Trek Enterprise season 4 episode 17. Well, the reason they solved the problem was because he kind of does that. So he kind of is this like nerdy little murder bot that really loves this. He's nerded out over this show, and he references it like a couple times throughout the thing. He's like, "Well, this is not what they would have done," and so I can't remember the name of the show, but it's fun. And he there's a company that is sending these I don't know, these scientists into space, and they have to send them with some sort of protection. And the company cheaps out at the last minute, and they buy the cheapest model, and he's like a refurbished older model. He's like the cheapest possible option of the inactive robots or whatever. So he gets paired up with this team, one of which is David Dastmalchian. I didn't really know the rest of the cast. Um, One of the ladies is a character actress. I recognize her voice, but I've never been motivated enough. She just has one of those voices that you recognize. I'm like, I've heard this voice before. I looked her up and I was like, oh yeah, that's because I've seen that, and that. But I do need to memorize her name. But the cast member that stood out to me was David Dastmalchian. I really hope they do something with him. because he's a fantastic actor and he deserves. I started up a Blind Film Critics Society with me and two other who do a podcast, who have been on this channel, by the way, Leah and Alex. And we did a Blind Film Critics Society, and we nominated David Dastmalchian for Best Actor for Late Night with the Devil last year. Definitely a very strong character actor who is waiting for the right role. Absolutely just waiting for the right role to be noticed. I don't want to say chasing an Oscar because it doesn't feel like he has been close to a nomination before, like some other people, but Oscar potential, absolutely. So he's in the cast, but basically it's like all Alexander Skarsgård because he's narrating like through his head. So what you hear from most of the show is his inner thoughts. And sometimes he has to externalize them when somebody asks him a question, and he's very awkward because he's trying not to be found out because it could they could scrap him and end up having him destroyed, or he'd be put in an awkward situation because he doesn't actually want to kill anybody, or maybe he would have to in order to survive. So he's perfectly fine doing his thing, but everybody's just so worried about whether or not, his chip is active and whether or not he's malfunctioning. So he's trying his best to pretend like he's not. And he's very frustrated with humans, and he can scan for threats, and the humans often make dumb choices, even though he's like, don't do that. And he can like assess threat, and he keeps having to run in and rescue the humans. And there are varying levels of grateful and gratitude that are in that. So it's interesting to see his dynamic because, at least in the first 3 episodes, I wouldn't say all of the cast is well developed. He doesn't have that many humans to interact with, but they haven't really done a good job of developing all of them into unique personalities. Just a couple of them, and the ones that he's interacted with, have varying opinions of him and his usefulness on the mission. So I watched through the 3rd episode, and the 3rd episode actually has a much better sort of like mic drop to leave you on. It might have been cool for Apple to have released the first 3 episodes, I would have said. But then again, it's hard to get people because I also recognize, and I complain a lot about TV pilots, is your first episode good enough? Because you're never guaranteed more than that. If somebody gives your episode a chance, they start at the beginning. They don't start it, even if everybody's like, oh man, 3rd episode is amazing. You gotta get to the 3rd episode. People just won't start at the 3rd episode. They want to know who the characters are. So TV shows with bad pilots have a hard time getting people past that. I have gotten through shows with bad pilots, generally based on the cast, the goodwill of the cast. And I've gotten to shows where I was like, man, that pilot was awful, but once the series got going, we were fine. Especially in a day and an age when we're not doing pilot orders, we're just doing a lot of straight to series orders. They're just picking things up and putting them together. So there's no craft going into that first episode to pull in an audience, and a lot of people aren't even bothering. So the first episode for a lot of things is completely being reshaped. And I wonder how many shows, since we're on streaming platforms, we don't have necessarily the same TV metrics where we can see the ratings. I wonder how many of these shows are losing from episode to episode because the first episode wasn't structured well enough. Murderbot, I actually think, is structured well enough. I think it's interesting from the beginning. It lets you know exactly the tone of the show. It'll let you know whether or not it is your thing or it's not your thing. I can understand for some people this won't be their thing. It is my thing. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this sort of sci-fi comedy, action, maybe a little bit of horror. There's some potential for some gory moments there and here and there, but it's not trying to. It's definitely not trying to be full of like jump scares or anything like that. They're just on a planet with like alien monsters that allows themselves for gore. And then also he does have a couple of like flash moments where he runs like a scenario through his head that include like violence, but it's not like overt. Honestly, comparatively to the first 3 episodes of Mobland, that show is way gorier. And that's just not even, nobody would consider that a horror show. They'd be like, oh, that's a crime drama. And it's like, they dismember a body. And then in like the 3rd episode, he's holding the head. I don't even know why. Like he's just holding like a decapitated head for no reason. He's just like, I don't know, let me get a better look at it. I don't know. I'm like, what's going on with your genre, man? So, yeah, it actually has the potential to lean more into it, but something else that's not even in the same genre that's dropping around the same time. First 3 episodes of that, way more bloody, way gorier, way more violent. So, and these kind of play closer to like half-hour episodes. They're not very long, so they're pretty easy to get through. So it's almost like it's trying to be a comedy more than it is a serious drama, like a Silo or something like that. So I enjoy it. I think Alexander Skarsgard here is delightful. The supporting cast just needs to be fleshed out more, like on a broader level. Right now, I would say they fleshed out maybe like 3 of the characters, but there are more than 3 humans on his team. So I need to know more about the others. But we got time. I would stick with Murderbot. It's one of the shows I look forward to each week when they drop a new episode. So, audio description is lacking, and I can't ever be excited about the audio description in this. And part of it is that the show is just put at a disadvantage from the very beginning, because Alexander Skarsgård is doing internal narration the whole time. So anytime that there is a break in anything, he's speaking like his thoughts. So it's really hard to squeeze things in, but I definitely felt like I did not have a good grasp of what he looked like, the structure of this robot, of this droid. There was a time when he pulled back his helmet and revealed his face, and I was like, I didn't even understand conceptually. Like there were times when he would do things or would reference something that I didn't even understand that was possible for what he looked like as on a structural purpose, So, and now that he has a face, I'm kind of like, is it like a head or is it more like RoboCop, where he had sort of like a metallic back to it, but he had a face. So I'm still left with a lot of questions as to what he looks like. I do feel like the audio description is underwhelming, but I don't think it's fully because of ineptitude. I think it's just struggling. It's fighting against, the minimal amount of time that it has to do audio description for a show that is science fiction, which is that and horror are like the 2 genres that have to have like the most description, because they have things that, especially science fiction, often has things that have no basis in reality. So if you tell me something that I have nothing to compare to in real life because it doesn't exist, I have nothing else I have no point of relevance or anything if you don't tell me what the thing is as a blind person. So it's definitely a show that suffers there. So if you're looking for a show with strong audio description, sadly Murderbot's not that. But if you're looking for a show to be entertained by, and you can wade through the waters and just kind of and you're okay with being maybe slightly confused from time to time, I think you can make it through Murderbot. I enjoy it. I'm going to give Murderbot an A- thus far. I think it's been a strong show and something, again, that I look forward to, which is good. I'm supposed to look forward to each episode. I'm not supposed to feel like it's a slog. Like I'm like, ugh, another episode came out. Maybe the show will get better. No, I'm like Murderbot. I've liked the first 3 episodes, solidly each one of them. So I have no problem recommending it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.